Um, Here's the way that I think about it, which is I feel like my career has been just zooming out. And so it's just been like progressively like abstracted zoom level. So like originally the zoom level that I thought about things were like lines of code, like sentences in like a research document, right? I mean, like, listen, I started as a computational physicist. I did my PhD. I mean, I was writing, and like, you know, a system, like a blue collar PhD, man. I wrote systems. I wasn't like solving theories, right? Um, and so that's the way that I viewed the world. It's like, you know, one problem at a time, one line of code at a time, et cetera. And then you zoom out a little bit, and then, you know, you start a company, and then you start viewing the world as, you know, in the products phase as a product. So it's okay. So like the view of the world is like, here's a technology and here's a product. And then you become a business leader, right? So you zoom out a little bit, and then now, okay, so the abstraction is kind of a company with, in that case, is a single product, and kind of the cash flows are out of it. And then, you know, you become a, you know, a large scale business, and you zoom out a little bit more, and it's okay. You've got multiple products, and you've got kind of like, you know, you can do alignment between those products, you know, whether it's on the packaging side or the go-to-market side, whatever. And then the next zoom level is the primitive becomes a company, you know, so you see multiple of those, right? And listen, I will forever be enamored with tech. I will forever love innovation. I will never grow tired of talking about this. And you know, I still get as excited as ever, even just talking about the software-defined networking stuff. But you know what's interesting is, like, you know, I've done two companies, right? I've done an 11-year kind of, you know, stint in the trenches, and I thought I knew what there is to know, and you really don't get it until you see the experiment run many times. I mean, actually, you know, as a VC, you really see a lot, and so, you know, it's a very natural progression from the. I mean, I was a true legit, you know, kind of like, you know, researcher, engineer, academic, you know, ran a business, and now a VC, and it's just absolutely fascinating. And that's why if you look at the content that I do, I'm just like, I'm so interested in like in innovation as a systems problem. Like what do the economics of AI companies look like? You know, what does like the data stack look like? I mean, you can actually ask the same questions and find the same patterns from a systems perspective on companies that you can do on say products. And so I think the intellectual rigor is there. I think the abstractions are different. And so I think it's still very exciting.
Yeah. So here we are all talking from home. I'm in the financial district of my house, which is the end of the dining table.
I love that.
Well, I love your blue collar PhD. I can't use that term, but I am blue collar.
I'm totally
blue collar MBA.
I love that. That's perfect. That's great.
A mechanical engineer turned MBA. So what are you guys, what's happening next year? Like, does anyone know what's happening? Is shit going to continue to hit the fan? Or like, how are you looking at the world next year in terms of, but I'd love to frame it in terms of this. Not looking for economic outlook stuff or anything like that. I'm actually looking at it from a people perspective. Yeah. All the companies in San Francisco, people are fleeing. I think Pinterest got out of its gajillion-dollar lease, and everyone's like vacating offices. People working from home. People are in 1 or 2 bedroom apartments. People are homeschooling. People have families, boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others. Emotional taxes are happening all over the place. Out of jobs, looking for work. What's happening? How are you looking at what's going to happen to portfolio companies that you have, and how are you going to look at founders now? And
So maybe some high level statements. So let me talk about Silicon Valley first, which is like, I don't know what it is about my brain, but like the harder things get, the more I want to stay. And the more I appreciate people that are like, you know, true blue, you know, like in it with me. And I just love the tribe, and the people that are leaving, I'm like, that's fine. Like, I'm so excited for the people that are staying and the people that choose to come. You know, I've seen other areas under adversary, and I love it when people stick together. And so like, I'm super long Silicon Valley here. I love it. And I love the people that stay, and like, they're all my brothers and sisters. And that's just how I am. And honestly, the worst it gets, man, like last weekend, it was 108-degree weather. The AQI, the air quality was horrible in my house. And the power was out for 2 days. It was like the perfect storm. And that just kind of like entrenched me further, man. I'm not going anywhere. And again, it has nothing to do with like prognosis on the economy or whatever. It's just like, this is my place. I love it here, and I love my people, and my people are here, and the ones that stay are so I'm definitely here, and I love that. As far as Silicon Valley, I am actually quite long Silicon Valley. I just feel like networks are such powerful things. Let's assume that 50% of people left, which is an enormous number. But let's just assume 50% of people left. Those 50% are going to be proliferated around the world, right? Some will go to Austin, some will go to whatever, New Zealand, some will go to New York, and so maybe you'll lose 5% to every different place, but like there's still 50% here and 5% somewhere else, right? I mean, it's so difficult to actually, by the numbers, get another local maximum. And so again, I still think, and having gone through 2008, and by the way, that exodus I think was actually far greater. And then having been through the exodus in 1999 and 2000, I think that exodus is also far greater. Like, I just feel like, maybe when the industry changes to like biotech or something else, you'll have a new epicenter, but I don't think there'll be a new epicenter. Now, maybe Silicon Valley won't be as prominent. Maybe, there's a number of things that could happen, but it'll still be the epicenter. And like, I'm in love with tech, and this is where I'll be. One thing that gives me, so I'll give you the positives and the negatives. One thing that I love is that like COVID actually accelerates trends that already were happening, which I think is a very natural thing to happen. Like, work from home was already happening. Like, and so I actually think in those ways, from like a working standpoint, it's actually good. Like, the move to the cloud was a good thing, and it kind of accelerated that. Like, not showing up to meetings is a good thing. It accelerated that. Like, bottoms up, go to market. So you don't have like, like a direct salesperson, it was already happening. So it accelerated on it. So that's a good thing. And so I think that a lot of the changes in the industry are actually very positive from that. On the other hand, this is a very, very trying time for a lot of us, right? That, we have kids that are, I look at my daughter, like, to send her back to school, she wears like like the face mask and like the plastic face screen, and she can't touch kids, and it just seems absolutely cruel. And like, I know I'm gonna be fine, man. Like, whatever. I grew up on a dirt road, man. What do I care, man? I can be holed up at my house. I can eat like Campbell's soup. I don't care. I'm gonna be totally fine. But I worry about her, and I worry about people that don't have a good situation, that can't stay safe, or like actually really need interaction and whatever. And I think that we should all be incredibly sympathetic to them. And I think it's a time for us to really come together and help each other. And so but now is the time. Listen, if you've got any inkling of like compassion or sympathy or whatever, now is the time to, to really put that first.
Yeah, well said. So I'd be remiss not to ask you this, since you are forward-looking. What are the key hot topic areas next year that are going to arise? That you're going to be looking for, or your peers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just a huge fan of mega trends that impact multiple industries, impact go-to-market as well as tooling. I just like these kind of, and there's three mega trends I'm really interested in. I'll just rattle them off quickly. The first one's very obvious. It's going to sound like a cliche, but I just don't think it is, which is data. Yes, we all have talked about it, but here's the reality. You've got, Snowflake IPOing right now at like absolutely crazy numbers. You've got, companies like Databricks are hugely successful. We've got what's arguably the creation of a, $50 to $100 billion business overnight. Market overnight, which is kind of this whole data. Companies that are nearby are doing, fantastic. It changes the way that we build systems. We don't have the tooling. It's kind of the last mile in business value. Like today, if you want to like really kind of extract kind of like differentiated value in your business, it's by doing it out of your data. It's just such a mega change, and it changes anyways. It changes how we think about systems. And so that's one. The next one is actually the shift from software to operations. It's kind of a little bit more subtle, but it used to be when you wrote software, and nowadays, when you write software, you're writing software and you're doing operations. It's like you have to know like 50% software development and 50% Kubernetes or something. Like, it's just like, nobody ships software really anymore, or very rarely. They're actually all standing up services, and that's just a different thing, right? It's just a different mindset, and like the tooling around that is different. And I've seen so many software companies start with a software project and have to end up as a service and just screw it all up. And so listen, all companies are going to be services and operations companies. And like, we really have to think about that. And then the last one is just, listen, I mean, we're moving to a go-to-market that's kind of community-based. And it used to be like the go-to-market of enterprise company was like all pre-sales and then some post-sales. And now I feel it's like basically community management and post-sales. Like that's what it looks like. And this is across all of enterprise. And I just think like this means everything. It means everything from the product standpoint, the go-to-market. Like there's gonna like the challengers, you know, the incumbents have no idea how to respond to this. And so I just think this is another one of these meta changes. And so those are the 4 trends I spend a lot of time thinking and tracking, and you know, and I think they'll be with us for the next 5-10 years.